This news is brought to you by Donald Hillis Realty and Auction.
Planning an auction? Count on the Get It Done Auction Company. The Donald Hillis Realty and Auction Company. In business since 1991, they specialize in residential and commercial real estate with emphasis on farms and land. They can help you with estate settlements, business liquidations, and farm dispersals, including land, livestock, and equipment. Donald Hillis Realty and Auction Company, representing more and more families in estate auctions each and every day. Call 473-7774 or visit DonaldHillisRealty.com. Firm 2273.
In the Main Street Journal News, a road project on Sparta Highway is expected to impact traffic through mid-April. According to the Tennessee Department of Transportation, a contractor is extending a turning lane on State Route 1 at its intersection with State Route 30. The inside westbound lane and turning lane are closed for the duration of the project, which began March 30th and is scheduled to continue through April 17th. Motorists should expect delays in the area and are encouraged to use caution while traveling through the work zone. In other news, the Warren County Democratic Party will hold its monthly meeting Monday at 6 p.m. in the Magnolia Room of the Warren County Administrative Building on Locust Street. The group meets on the first Monday of each month. More local news is just a click away at mainstreetjournal.llc. Until next time, I'm Rob Nunley.
This weather update brought to you by Warehouse Discount Groceries.
A new week is here with some more great weekly specials from our friends at Warehouse Discount Groceries. Now listen to these. 85% lean ground round, $5.49. Land O'Lakes butter, 1 pound, just 2 for $6. Charter Reserve ham, $8.99 a pound. And Pepsi Mountain Dew 24-pack, just $10.99. Don't forget about their full-service deli and all their other great specials for our friends at Warehouse Discount Groceries, 835 Smithville Highway on the Strip.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Our forecast getting a little better going toward the afternoon after a cold start in the 30s and 40s. The high temperature of right near 70 degrees and the sunshine will continue. A clear night leads to another cold one, though unfortunately you're waking up tomorrow morning just like this one. Upper 30s and low 40s. High temps will be in the mid-60s by the end of this week. We make our way back into the 80s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Lieutenant, can you tell us what happened today?
Our officers responded to a crash on I-40 westbound this morning. The driver of a pickup truck lost control of the vehicle, veered left, and went into a ditch.
911, what's your emergency?
We've been in a crash. Please send someone. My fiancé is hurt.
A front seat passenger was wearing a seatbelt. She survived without injury. The driver was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected from the truck. He died at the scene.
Law enforcement writes tickets to save lives. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chad Graves, and you are listening to Behind the Mic. Tonight, we have a very, very special guest again. Tonight, we continue our commitment to bringing voters clear, fair, and direct conversations with candidates in one of the most important races on the ballot, the district attorney's race. This is a position that impacts public safety, victims, families, and the integrity of our justice system. Our goal is not to debate, but to inform, so voters can make their own decisions based on facts and perspective. My guest tonight is Lisa Zavianis, also known as Lisa Z, former district attorney and current candidate in the upcoming special election. Lisa Z, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chad, for having me on tonight.
Well, I'm very excited that you are here, and I'm glad that I could pronounce your name correctly because sometimes I struggled with that.
Well, you got it on the first try.
Well, we've been learning about the DA's office, but we want to learn about you, Lisa Z. Tell us about why you are in McMinnville anyway. How did you get here?
Well, Chad, you're sort of new here, so you may not know some of the crazy stories about me, but a lot of people do. I grew up in Kentucky, and so they hear that last name Zavianis, and they think, where in the world is she from? I'm just as southern as can be. I'm a good old country girl. I grew up on a farm. I'm the youngest of 12 kids.
Youngest of 12 on a farm in Kentucky.
In Kentucky. And I have no idea how Jimmy traveled from Greece to Monticello, Kentucky and found me, but he did. And so I met Jim there, and we got married when I was 20 years old. when I was 19, I had a restaurant, and he had a restaurant. And we ultimately ended up getting married and had one restaurant. And Monticello, Kentucky is where I grew up, and it's a small town. I call it a two-blinker town because if you blink twice, you've missed it. It still is a two-blinker town. I left there 37 years ago. So it hasn't grown very much. And that was the reason we ended up leaving Monticello. Jim said, I'm going to Florida. We're going to find us a restaurant. And we had been married about 3 years, and had an 18-month-old child. My daughter, Tashia, she's a school counselor out at Eastside. We had her, she was just a baby, and he said, I'm going to Florida. So we went to, he went down to Tarpon Springs and different areas, and he came through McMinnville, Tennessee, and he talked to Tom Dugan, who wanted Miss Clara to retire from the ice cream shop. And so we ended up renting the ice cream shop and coming to McMinnville, Tennessee. I was 23 years old.
Wow. So is that when you opened your first restaurant here in McMinnville?
Yes. It was the Gondola, same name. And we stayed in Tom Dugan's shopping center there in the corner, expanded a couple times. We were there for 23 years, and then we bought the property across the street. But in the meantime, we also opened Dimitri's Restaurant.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier. That was where the old Kenny Rogers Roasters location was, right?
Yes, we had such good food there. Oh.
Well, so I guess that has that gondola chicken been in that, I guess, in your restaurants ever since coming here?
The gondola chicken has been around for 37 years.
Well, I still enjoy that gondola chicken, and maybe before the end of the show, you'll give me some hints on how to make that gondola chicken.
I'll give you some pointers.
All right, so let's jump back into to some questions about the DA's office. And so, how has the role of the district attorney changed since you first took office?
Well, when I first took office, at least in this community, in this district, the DA was just basically went to the courtroom and prosecuted the cases. But you can't make your community better. You can't make your office grow. So the involvement, not just in the local community, it has evolved to where you have to be involved in Nashville in order to get the resources, the things that you need for your district. And so it evolved into, at least from my perspective, with me, into being very involved with the legislature, making sure that when laws don't work, that you work to change them. And that's how, I got involved with the Vulnerable and Elderly Adult Protection Act, was by going to Nashville and being involved, seeing needs. I had talked to the director at the senior center here, and she had discussed a lot of the needs that the seniors had and how they were not being addressed, and that we had basically no laws. And so my involvement in Nashville, when given the opportunity to do something to see that we could protect them, I was on it.
So when you say going to Nashville, are you saying you're lobbying for our local community in Nashville?
You are lobbying for not just your community, but for the state as a whole. The District Attorney General's Conference is in Nashville, and that is where our funding comes from. That is where all the money that pays every staff member comes from. How you get a staff member is through the conference. So you need to be involved to know what's available. They are also up to speed on what laws are coming down the pike. Sometimes, legislators try to pass laws that are not good. So we have to fight as much as passing laws. We also have to fight to keep bad laws from being passed. Mm-hmm. And so that is a big part of it as well.
So what do voters misunderstand most about the job of being a DA?
The job of being a DA is twofold. It is making sure that guilty people do not go free, and also to make sure that innocent people are not wrongfully convicted.
So, would you say that you are tough on crime?
I'm very tough on crime. I have had some of the longest, toughest prison sentences ever come out of this district. Now, I've had life without the possibility of parole, several life cases. One child case was a 212-year sentence for a child molestation case. Those are tough sentences. You don't hear those every day, but we've had those. So yes, I'm very, very tough on crime. I prosecuted tons and tons of drug cases in this community, many child molestation cases, every kind of crime that you can imagine, from a public intox to murder, I've done.
So we were just talking right before the show about the advertisements that used to come on at the movie theater, and we used to see you being tough on meth, and it was Meth Kills. Was that the?
It's meth, not one time.
Meth, not one time.
Because if you use methamphetamine one time, you're hooked. And we've had a tremendous problem in this community and throughout the state, but in this community with methamphetamine, and it's destroyed so many families. And if I can change one child's life with that message, then I've been a success. And, you know, that was a huge part of what I did as the DA, was to go into the schools and do drug prevention programs. I don't know, you can probably ask the other 30 DAs in the state, 31 DAs in the state, how many of them do it, and you're not going to have a whole lot that do that.
So I know that there's still meth in every community in the state and in a lot of rural communities as well, but fentanyl is a major problem. Do you have a plan to help combat fentanyl deaths?
Well, when I was the district attorney, we were a leader in the state in prosecuting those cases in which there were drug overdoses, and you could link that up to a dealer. We prosecuted those for murder. So that was a new concept, but I had several of those cases at the time I left. And I think that's one deterrent to do. And we've got to do that. We've got to find the dealers. We've got to work with law enforcement and help them, support them, work with them to make the best cases we can, because the drug dealers got to go to prison.
That's right. So where are these drugs coming from, and how do they get to our rural community like we have here?
They're coming through the mail. A lot of them come through the mail. They come up through the interstates. They're coming from Mexico, China, different places. And it's not just here. It's the other districts I've worked in since I've left the DA's office. They have the same problems. There's a lot of drugs out there. Mm-hmm. And we got to keep fighting them. We got to fight them in every way we can. We got to send them to prison. We got to help some of those that are addicted to drugs. Help them with, if they're ready to get rehabilitation, we need to do that. Our drug court has a 75% success rate. That's pretty high.
That is pretty high.
That's pretty high.
So
we got to do that as well. We got to work to do prevention, education, every aspect that you can find. That's how I have always fought drugs. I will continue to fight drugs. You know, working in Nashville, working with the legislators. Before I came on the show this evening and I'd made my announcement today, Tom Kimball, who was he was in charge of the DUI prosecutions at the state level, had put a post on my Facebook page, and he talked about how I stood up against fentanyl and how excited I was to go over to the legislature and work and fight against it. You got to do that too. Every avenue, every aspect. You never give up.
Would you say that drugs is the biggest problem that our community faces today?
I think drugs is the biggest. Yes, I do think that is the biggest problem we face today, because most of your thefts stem from drugs. Your domestic violence are going to be drugs or alcohol. Most of your vehicular homicides, of course, are some type of drug or alcohol. They're just it's the majority of what we've got. It's either drugs or mental health. Often they overlap.
I agree with that. It does seem that way, and I know that it does feel like drugs also plays a large part in homelessness, and it seems like there's been an increase in that in our community as well. So obviously, if we could keep everyone from doing, I guess, illegal drugs from the very beginning, we would have a whole lot less of that.
Yes.
So it's time for our next break, but when we come back, we're going to get into a little more information about the DA's office and some maybe leadership and office management of the current DA office. So you're listening to Behind the Mic, and we are sitting down with Lisa Z, and we will be right back after the break.
The northern girls with the way they kiss, they keep their boyfriends warm at night.
Something big is coming to Captain D's, and it's all about saving you money. Imagine not needing coupons anymore, because coupon pricing is becoming their everyday pricing. That's right, same great tasting seafood coming soon with even lower prices every single day. No clipping, no apps, just real value when you walk in. Get ready, McMinnville. Captain D's is changing the way you save, and it's coming soon to your local Captain D's. Captain D's of McMinnville. Big flavor, big value, the great little seafood place.
We've all been there. Too much stuff and no place to put it. If you're feeling claustrophobic from the clutter, we're here to help. With more than 60 years serving our area, McMinnville Moving and Storage will come to your home, help you pack up those things taking up space, and move them into our modern, secure, climate-controlled storage units. Moving? Well, whether it's around the corner or across the country, McMinnville Moving and Storage's team of professionals are here to help. Get a quote now by calling 931-473-2805 or see us online at McMinnvilleMoving.com. McMinnville Moving and Storage. We move your memories to your future.
For over 60 years, one name has stood for trust, value, heritage, and exceptional care. Ed Rogers Chevrolet in Sparta, Tennessee. From their outstanding service department to a fine selection of quality new and used vehicles, they're committed to doing things the right way. So whether you're looking for a new Chevrolet, car, truck, or SUV, you'll find real savings and the kind of stellar customer service that keeps people coming back for years to come. Ed Rogers Chevrolet in Sparta. The best deal and service you won't find anywhere else.
Every day, banks touch every corner of our lives. Let me, Sabrina Keaton, help you turn your life goals into accomplishments. Here at Security Federal Savings Bank, we can assist you with buying a car, debt consolidation, purchasing a home, or remodeling your current home. Whatever your needs are, we will keep it simple at Security Federal Savings Bank. We look forward to serving you and building relationships that last generations. Security Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Make the places you care about more comfortable and energy efficient with TVA Energy Right. It all starts at EnergyRight.com, where you can find everything you need to lower your energy usage for your home or your business. Contact Caney Fork Electric Energy Advisors at 931-473-3116 or go to EnergyRight.com to start living and working more energy efficiently. Caney Fork Electric along with EnergyRight.com for all your energy needs. Brought to you by Caney Fork Electric Cooperative and TVA.
Cristo ha resucitado y en Él tenemos esperanza. Christ has risen and in Him we have hope. Están invitados a nuestra iglesia bilingüe llamada Iglesia Bautista Resurrección y Esperanza. Nuestros servicios son los domingos a las 10:45 a.m. y los miércoles a las 6:30 p.m. Estamos ubicados en 662 North Spring Street, McMinnville. You're invited to our bilingual church named Resurrection and Hope Baptist Church. Our services are Sundays at 10:45 a.m. and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. We are located at 662 North Spring Street, McMinnville.
Welcome back to Behind the Mic. We are sitting down with Matt Culver. He is the Deputy District Attorney for the 31st Judicial District. So, Matt, what is the 31st Judicial District?
It is Van Buren and Warren counties.
Okay. So, you know, John Parton told me, I don't know, it wasn't a funny story. It just seemed like a factual story of how we were able to even have the 31st Judicial District, and that was kind of interesting. I'm sure you know the background there.
Yeah, somewhat. There was an attorney here that apparently didn't like Judge Haston very well, and he was on the committee in the legislature and was actually able to break up the 17th judicial district into the 17th and the 31st, and to try to avoid Judge Haston. I don't know why he would do that or whatever, but the case that involved a certain guy that was accused of a crime that he was representing at that time, he's still around. So every time we see him in court, it's like, well, there's the father of the 31st Judicial District.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Well, I guess kind of funny.
Kind of.
Yeah. All right. So before the break, we were talking a little about your family and the family background there. So when you're not in court, what does your family time look like?
Generally, whatever the girls want to do, pretty much when they're in. Try to make it about them. So if they want to do something, that's what we're doing. Or I spend a lot of time going between Cookeville and Murfreesboro.
Mm-hmm. Well, spending time with the kids is very important to you. All right, so let's jump into your military background. So you served as a judge advocate, also known as JAG. I know that there was a popular TV show called JAG.
We don't really get to fly planes.
That's I guess it's still fun, but maybe not as much fun than flying the planes, right? So judge advocate in the U.S. Army, and we talked about your you wanting to join the military. You just wanted to do something more for, I guess, the country, or what was the driving factor there?
I really don't have a good answer other than I wanted to do something exciting and something for the country, and the Army was hiring.
Right. So this was before you even thought about going to law school.
Right. Yeah. I was an infantry officer. I was a rifle platoon leader with armored personnel carriers, and then I was when we got the Bradley fighting vehicle, which is kind of doing so well in Ukraine right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting kind of famous from how many Russian tanks it's taking out in Ukraine. I was on one of those, had a platoon, 4 of those, and then I was a rifle company executive officer with Bradley. So we had 14 in the company. I did that in Germany for 3 years, and then was military intelligence for basically about 8 or 9 years after that, in the reserve and active duty. 3 years active with the 82nd, like I was telling you. And then in the reserves, I was still a military intelligence officer. But I went to Fort Benning in 2003. I got mobilized after 9/11. 9/11 was sort of a seismic tectonic shift for National Guard and the reserves. I was in the reserves, but we were activated. The unit I was in sent to Fort Benning. Basically wound up the unit running Fort Benning somewhat, assisting in the running of Fort Benning, and processing soldiers to deploy. I actually wound up, besides doing, and I was still a military intelligence officer at this time, but I had a law degree, and I'd been working as a lawyer. So I was lucky enough, I wound up being the special assistant U.S. attorney for Fort Benning, which what that means is every military post has an Army officer that's cross-appointed with the Department of Justice to be a special assistant U.S. attorney for that federal property. The state doesn't have jurisdiction over a military base because it's federal property. So instead of having a federal prosecutor deal with the fort, they have an Army guy or Navy or Marines, whatever it is, whatever the installation may be, get cross-appointed. You put on a suit, you go to federal court, you prosecute crimes that happen on the post.
So you were actually deployed to Iraq.
Right.
So when was that?
About 2007. I was on vacation, and I found out that our commander was changing, and that sort of gave me an indication something was up. And then I found out, along with everybody else in the unit, that we were going to be mobilized and then deployed to Iraq. So about the end of 2007, we started training. We got just a few days off for Christmas and New Year's. Then the training started for real at Camp Atterbury at Indiana. They sent us the coldest place in the United States for some reason to train for the desert. But Camp Atterbury in the winter is about 0 degrees, to 20 maybe. And we did the pre-deployment training that every unit has to do, and then went to Kuwait for a couple of days, and then we were in Iraq for 10 months after that.
So you were telling a pretty interesting story to me earlier about, I guess, part of your job in Iraq and what you were doing, like one of the things that you had to do.
Well, I had doing legal reviews of any purchases over $10,000. So anything that was purchased, repaired, or constructed, if it was over $10,000.
Seems like that'd be a lot of things.
A lot of things. It was the biggest project we worked on was a hospital that was going to be built in Baghdad that ultimately I don't think it was after we left. To the electrification of the post, we were running off generators everywhere, which is not really efficient. And if you're going to be somewhere for a while, you need to build a power plant. So basically they did, and we were doing legal reviews about the power plant. The T-walls, we were buying hundreds of these 12-foot tall, 2-foot thick concrete walls. They're shaped like an upside-down T, so it's called a T-wall. My claim to fame is the American Sniper movie where the guys are getting shot unhooking the T-wall, and the U.S. deployed snipers to shoot the snipers shooting the guys unhooking the T-wall from the cranes. My whole part in that was I bought the T-wall. I did the legal review that said, yes, we can use Operations and Maintenance Army, OMA funds to buy this T-wall. And we bought thousands of them, even put them around a neighborhood to keep trying to keep the Shia and the Sunni apart, keep them from killing each other.
So is there a specific moment that is, I guess, really memorable for you about your deployment there?
Well, I'll tell you, it's memorable. It's not happy. But about 2 weeks into the deployment, after you do a side-by-side with the unit you're replacing, and our unit that we were replacing had just left. And they teach you, when mortars or rockets come in, you seek a shelter. If you can get to the shelter, get in it. If you can't, just get down. Well, we had a parking lot not far from where my office was, and we had a barrage of rockets come in, and a young man was in that parking lot, and apparently he had just been in country, and apparently he didn't pay attention or what, but didn't think it was real. I don't know what or why he didn't get down, but he got hit by a rocket. Mm. So I was one of the first people there to take care of him until we could get real medical personnel there. But you kind of, in the middle of a barrage, when you've only been there for 2 weeks, you're like, why are they shooting at me? I just got here.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done anything to anybody. I just got here. And you realize, that's a crazy thought, but it doesn't hit you until it's over with,
wow, that you really are in a combat zone, and you have to. It's like there's a chance I could get killed here.
Yeah, and we got rocketed at the first, rocketed or mortared pretty much every week. Towards the end, the surge was basically successful a little bit in Baghdad, and we pushed insurgents. Unfortunately, a lot of them went north to Mosul. However, the rocketing and the mortars on us sort of slacked off a little bit towards the end of 2008.
So you were an attorney at this time.
I was.
And you were also mentioning to me about some criminals that you were prosecuting there as well. Is that right?
The other, probably more exciting part of my job, basically doing legal reviews on anything purchased, advising the commander any legal questions they had, advising the military police questions they had, and then probably the most exciting thing I did was doing prosecutions of civilians. And there were a ton of civilians running around accompanying the force. Accompanying the force is sort of the term that gives us jurisdiction over a civilian contractor that happens to be in a war zone. And some of these were Americans, some of these were Iraqis working for American companies, some of these were Iraqis that were actually recruited inside the U.S. So
you were prosecuting Americans and Iraqis but they were actually working for the U.S., right?
Yes.
So, and you were telling me a story about, I guess, one guy that you had to prosecute or were working towards prosecuting that was stealing from other Iraqi families.
Yeah, we had L3 Communications was a company that paid for, hired most of the contractors, and when one of their or interpreters, and when one of their interpreters was killed on operations or however, they would make a gift to the family of $10,000. And this guy's job was to be the go-between and give the family the $10,000 and say, on behalf of the United States and L3 Communications, we're sorry for the loss of your son, and here's some money. Well, he would do that, but then he would come back a week or two later and say, I'm sorry, we overpaid you. We need 1,000 of that back. So this guy was skimming money off of dead interpreters' families. And we found out about it, and he'd done it to about 8 to 10 families, and we started investigating him.
All right, so you were working towards prosecuting him. All right, but Alyssa is bringing in the music again, so it's time for us to take another break. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little more about, I guess, your role inside the district attorney's office as well, and maybe talk a little more about your experience there in Iraq and your deployment. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little more with Matt Culver. You're listening to 97.7 WBMC.
This news update brought to you by Coffee Bank and Trust.
Looking for a loan? At Coffee Bank and Trust, we make it happen. From business goals to personal dreams, we specialize in finding a way to get you approved fast. Better listening, better solutions, better banking. Because at Coffee Bank and Trust, we're committed to serving you better. Come home to Coffee Bank and Trust, a division of Coffee County Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 646005. Coffee Bank and Trust. Believe in better.
In the Main Street Journal news, Warren County is among the recipients of a major statewide investment in emergency response. The Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance and the State Fire Marshal's Office announced 115 rescue squads, including Warren County's, will share $5 million in grant funding for 2026, the largest allocation in the program's history. The funding will help purchase life-saving equipment used in situations such as vehicle extrication, structural collapse, and swift water rescue. Officials say the program is aimed at strengthening emergency services, particularly in rural counties. In other news, Tennessee's unemployment rate ticked down slightly from 3.5% in January, continuing to outperform the national rate of 4.3%. More local news is just a click away at mainstreetjournal.llc. Until next time, I'm Rob Nunley.
The weather brought to you by 3 Star Cinema. Enter a world of action, suspense, comedy, and romance at 3 Star Cinema, where the latest stars shine and the perfect movie captivates you. Now showing
Project Hail Mary rated PG-13. The Super Mario Galaxy movie rated PG. Hoppers rated PG. Ready or Not 2 rated R. Reminders of Him rated PG-13.
Call the 24-hour movie line for showtimes at 473-7600. Experience your hometown movies at 3 Star Cinema.
Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Our forecast getting a little better going toward the afternoon after a cold start in the 30s and 40s. The high temperature of right near 70 degrees and the sunshine will continue. A clear night leads to another cold one, though. Unfortunately, you're waking up tomorrow morning just like this one. Upper 30s and low 40s. High temps will be in the mid 60s by the end of this week. We'll make our way back into the 80s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Good selection there, Alyssa. So welcome back to Behind the Mic. We're sitting down with Randall Gillum. And Randall, you worked in this the 31st Judicial District, which was in Warren County. Mm-hmm. But you, in 2002, you moved to the 13th Judicial District, which included Putnam County, Clay County, Pickett County, Cumberland County, Overton County, White County, and DeKalb County. I've got all those, didn't I?
7 counties, yes.
7 counties.
Yes.
So that is probably about 3 times the size of the 31st Judicial District.
Geographically, it's the largest judicial district in the state, I believe. Now, of course, population-wise, it's not. I'm sure Shelby County, for example, has way more. But I guess to put it in perspective, Putnam County alone probably has 100,000 or so, which is probably twice the number of Warren County.
Yeah, Warren County plus Van Buren County.
So when you think about Cookeville, Putnam County, 100,000, I'm guessing Cumberland County is probably 60,000 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, the smaller towns, Livingston and Smithville and Sparta, which still would add up to a sizable population.
Yes.
It's certainly a different animal, and it's been very educational, and it's helped in my professional development to move to a bigger district and see how things are done.
Obviously, yeah, that does make sense where you can just see things. It's just a little different than it is in this Warren County and Van Buren County
That's
areas. True. So I guess that's something what have you learned by being in that larger district?
So in that district, for example, we have 3 judges that are circuit judges and literally ride circuit, as they say, and appear in those 7 counties. So I've learned how to adjust to different courts, whereas here in most of my time here, 15 years here, we had 1 judge. And so you learn that judge's particular way of doing things. And so I've learned how to adjust to different courts and the peculiarities that go along with each individual court and their way of doing things. And having learned how to make those adjustments has been good.
Mm-hmm. So you recently returned from Memphis, where you spent a week teaching trial advocacy to prosecutors across Tennessee.
That's true.
So tell me about that.
Okay. So let's go back to 2013. That was the first year that the Tennessee District Attorney General's Conference held that course. It was modeled after what was called the NAC, which was a federal program where they invited both federal and state prosecutors to a week-long course where they trained them, broke down a trial into its component parts and trained them how to try cases properly. They would point cameras at them and make them stand up and make opening arguments or closing arguments, and then critique them on their performance and teach them how to do things correctly. I guess at some point federal funding went away, at least for the state prosecutors in that program, and the conference decided to copy that program and implement it for themselves. So I was in that inaugural class back in 2013, and one of the things that they decided to do was to develop faculty from the students. And so I guess I must have had a good year that year. They evaluated my performance and invited me back as faculty in 2014. And I've been back, and it's been an honor ever since. And it's something that I don't intend to ever stop doing until I retire, so long as I'm able to keep working as a prosecutor.
Well, that obviously is quite an honor. They think that you are good at your job, so they're saying, hey, come teach these other students how to do it.
I can think of no higher compliment than to have peers and colleagues invite me to come and teach younger or less experienced prosecutors from across the state how to try a case. So I'm grateful.
So, Randall, in between breaks and when you first got here, one of the conversations that you and I have been having is, why would anyone want to have this job, the DA job? Because it's a hard job. It's because you are going to make some enemies, and it is difficult sometimes to try some of these cases that involve children and peers and sometimes people that you know.
I mean, you're right. It's certainly a hard job. It can be a heartbreaking job. It can be a job that produces a lot of anxiety. But what I would say is it's a job where you get up in the morning, go to work, and do the right thing. And the right thing is usually different from case to case to case. And, you know, there's a law firm, I'm not going to promote them on your radio show, but they have a well-known phrase that's for the people, right? But the truth of the matter is most lawyers are involved in representing individual clients. They're not really for the people, they're for their client. We are for the people, quite literally. When we identify ourselves in court, we identify ourselves as the state of Tennessee. And here in the 31st District, the state of Tennessee means the citizenry of Warren and Van Buren County. So getting up in the morning and doing the right thing for the people is its own reward, and I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Well, it's a pretty noble job to be able to, because without the prosecutors, we have criminals that are, that are literally running the town and running the streets. So I'm thankful for prosecutors that are out there doing that. So what does this district need the most from its next DA?
This district needs someone with experience, someone with integrity, someone with sound judgment, and someone with even temperament. And I think all of those qualities are inseparable. They are all necessary. And when a person is making a decision about who should be the next district attorney, they should review the record of each candidate with an eye towards each of those qualities and make their decision accordingly.
So I know that I personally don't fully understand what a district attorney does on a day-to-day basis. Can you tell the listeners what is the role of a DA?
So it's a multifaceted role, obviously. The district attorney sets the tone of the district attorney's office. They make decisions about what are the priorities in the office, what are the priorities in terms of caseload. A district attorney and assistant district attorneys prosecute all of the crimes for which cases are brought in the courts in this district. So that's everything. Like we talked about, whether we're talking about misdemeanors, everything from trespassing and jaywalking all the way up to homicides, child abuse, and of course, drug crime, which is always a problem. And I know you're aware that drugs are a big problem in our area. But we are tasked with working with law enforcement, reviewing their cases, assisting in their investigations, and preparing cases thoroughly so that they can be properly presented in court and ultimately to a jury.
So something that's interesting about this race that's upcoming is both yourself and Matt Colvard worked for Lisa Z, and Lisa Z is also running. So all three of you guys have worked together.
Yes.
So that is a very interesting facet of this DA race.
It certainly is, and I don't know how unique that is, but it certainly hasn't happened in this district to my knowledge before, and so it's something that may not ever happen again in this district. But Yes, they are both friends and colleagues of mine, and I'm certainly grateful to Lisa Z for the time that I worked in her office, and that time gave me the experience that I point to now as a qualification for a district attorney.
So what separates you and makes you different than Matt and Lisa?
Well, I would probably invite the voters to review our records individually, and I would point to myself in terms of my experience. I've got 30 years as an attorney, 21 of those as a prosecutor, and 15 of those years right here in this district. I have the temperament and the skill set and the professionalism to lead the office, and that's the case I would make to the voters.
Well, I know the family that you married into, so they're very good people. So obviously you make some good choices there. So
yes, I'm grateful for my wife. She is just a rock star of a person, and she is a very solid support as we move through this process.
Physical therapist with McMinnville Physical Therapy.
Yes, she's a physical therapist. She and her partner, Zach Sutton, recently celebrated their 15th year out there on South Chancery Street.
Yeah, that's been a very, very good business. So we got to take another break. But when we come back, I want to talk about crime in Warren County and Van Buren County, and what we can do, or what you would like to do if you were to be elected as DA to help prevent some of that crime.
Okay.
All right. You're listening to Behind the Mic. We're sitting down with District Attorney candidate Randall Gillum, and we will be right back.
At the cafe at Tree City, people are talking about their favorite treats.
I personally like the caramel macchiato.
I'm a cappuccino man.
The biscuits are the best.
I love the egg bites because they're so fluffy.
Gravy biscuits, egg bites, it's all good.
I like the caramel macchiato because it's so sweet.
Come check out our fresh breakfast menu, served all day.
Find out what you like at the cafe, located inside the inn at Tree City.
Prater's Barbecue has been around for 29 years, smoking our award-winning barbecue, tender beef brisket, or mouth-watering baby back ribs. And don't forget our delicious side dishes. Myself, Gary, and all the Prater staff could not do this without our wonderful and loyal customers. Dine in or carry out, give us a call at 635-2259 to place your order.
Thank you, Warren County.
Call them today for your next catering event. Prater's Barbecue, Highway 55 in Morrison.
Good morning from Town Talk on WBMC. I'm Rob.
And I'm Raven, and we're inviting local businesses to join the Town Talk Breakfast Club.
Here's how it works. Just go to the Town Talk Facebook page, find the Breakfast Club post, and comment your business name to enter.
Every Friday, we'll draw one lucky winner live on air,
and you'll win a free fresh breakfast from your team at the cafe at Tree City.
They've rolled out a delicious new breakfast menu, fresh-made favorites, morning classics, and yes, coffee is included.
Join the Town Talk Breakfast Club, only on WBMC.
If you've been doing something for 10 years, it means it's important to you. Farm Credit Mid-America has been paying back their customer owners a portion of their profits in the form of patronage for 10 straight years. More than $1.75 billion, in fact. They're a cooperative owned by farmers, so they're invested in building something strong together. Patronage is an annual decision made by the Board of Directors to return earnings to eligible customers. For more information on patronage or patronage eligibility, visit fcma.com/patronage.
At Pioneer Building Supply, we're your one-stop shop for lumber, tools, and building supplies. Whether you're tackling a major renovation or just need a few materials for a small project, we've got you covered. From framing to finishing touches, we have the products and expertise to help you get the job done right. Stop by and see us today at 231 Northgate Drive, Suite 250, McMinnville, or give us a call at 931-473-7777. Our friendly, knowledgeable team is always ready to help you with whatever you need for your next project. For 50 years, Pioneer Building Supply has been the trusted name in construction materials. We've built our reputation on quality, service, and the commitment to your success. Pioneer Building Supply, building your dreams since 1975.
Pioneer Building Supply.
Pioneer Building Supply, where good business makes good friends.
Pioneer Building Supply. Such a lovely place, such a lovely
ceiling, pink champagne on ice. And she said, we are all just prisoners here of our own device. In their master's chambers, we gathered for the feast. They stab it with their stealing knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Relax at the night, man. We are programmed to receive. You can check out in